shadows and find you. Oh, tell me I'm wrong, tell me I'm gone crazy. Ooh, oh, tell me to stay, tell me you like it this way. A secret, baby. A secret, baby.
with the Bastion ulti? Alright, I see you guys.
Well, look to find a stick there, finds the stick, they find two with it!
Those who find the picks will save the fight, and they don't really need to save what they've already won.
And Cam with the 4-man punch off the map!
Experience tranquility.
This is Karma. We're gonna cast some fantastic Harmony tier Tuesdays for everybody today. It looks to be quite the matchup, considering that both these teams are kind of a vintage classic in the Tranquility community.
Yep, we have the Jersey Boys versus the Fighting Potatoes. Fighting Potatoes is a little bit lower, 2-5 currently. Jersey Boys sitting at 4-3, right above that 500 threshold. But who knows? Maybe Fighting Potatoes has a fighting chance today against the Jersey Boys.
That's very well said, and I mean, considering they might need that fighting chance, considering everybody on the freaking little predicting Tranquility podcast predicted a clean 4-0. I'm talking Dexatron. I'm talking. Oh man, no shoot. I forgot the other name, but we saw some new faces in the predicting Tranquility, or at least I did, as well as Nerf. I'm gonna be hoping for Jersey Boys, especially considering just how it's gonna go. But considering that we haven't necessarily seen the match start yet, what do you think? Are you going for the Fighting Potatoes?
Honestly, looking at it very closely, I have Jersey Boys. If they're positive, they 4-3. I gotta go with it. I don't think it's gonna be clean sweep. I think clean sweeps are boring. I think they're always very overtuned. I think you always gotta have the fighting chance, especially when you have a name Fighting Potatoes. It needs to have that little bit of a fighting chance to go.
Oh, okay. Well, much respect. I suppose. And while we're also heading to the next map, whatever it may be, it looks like it's gonna be Oasis. Would you look at that? It's quite the kind of mix up of compositions. We've seen lots of different kinds of because each map is so fluid. And normally it seems like sort of this kind of brawl kind of thing where you can run a Ryan, you can run a Ramacha, something kind of like slow rush or whatever. Do you expect either of these teams to run out like a dive or something a little bit more a little feisty?
I could see a lot of dive coming out, especially with Oasis having Garden, having City Center with those very high platforms. Dive is fairly usable, especially with the Monkey Diva, with how strong and basically every tank is. I think once we get into University or Library, as I like to call it, it's basically brawl no matter what. I think we're going to see a lot of Ram, a lot of Winston. It's going to be very interesting to see what these guys pull out, since they are, of course, this sort of gold and plat tier. A little bit lower than a lot of other people. A lot of people that just sort of play their comfort picks, don't really conform to the metas, even though there's not really a meta going on. I think once we start to get to the OWO, which starts this week, head into it, we might see a lot more metas. But we're just going to see a lot of probably just what everybody likes to play. We're probably going to see what a lot of comfort picks are coming out, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot of differences coming out from every team.
Yeah, it's gonna be kind of crazy, especially considering the kind of tanks you can run, especially giving it down that timer. Boom! Looks like we're gonna see. I mean, dare I say, a kind of Ryan matchup, especially with the Bap Lucio. Looks like they're also gonna run a little bit of a Mei, but I mean, what do you think this kind of mirror matchup?
I mean, especially because we are in University right now, it's fairly simple, fairly basic. TP out, get the walls off fairly easy. I think we're gonna see a fight in probably mini. That's normally where everybody likes to fight. Some people do like to take the high ground, but even then, I think you normally just fight for the point and just try to win as much as you can.
A pretty good point. Let's see if those teams can do that to some success. It looks like the Sims are going to be stuck with, so it is going to be a Mei kind of Sim. Yeah, looks like they are going to do some little dozy-do inside that mini. Looks like both walls out, and actually Immortality Field out as well. Lots of abilities being used pretty early, especially a charge from Reinhardt, but nobody really falling until Kitty does fall. That's your Lucio out of the fight. That's going to be a big kind of factor here, especially considering, like, as you can see, that amp it up by Sneaky Kid. Looks like the tempo is on and the point presence is had.
Yeah, losing that amp speed is very difficult, and especially since Jersey Boys is losing their Mei as well, losing that sort of map. I don't know if it's a map sort of geometry in quotation marks with the wall.
Yeah.
Just being able to just stop them in their tracks. And Jersey Boys, even though they lost the first point, they are going to get their first ultimate up with the Godzilla Shatter.
Yeah, but let's see how that fancies against Solitary Bird Shatter, especially considering there is a high ground taken into the mix here. Looks like Godzilla, a fantastic wall coming out. Might throw some loops there. Looks like now both Ryan's gonna be a little bopping, both forcing out every single ability from their Baptiste. Looks like now it's gonna be a little bit of a trade, but a May falling out from the side of Fighting Potatoes is gonna be kind of a, well, I was gonna say a little bit of an issue as Solitary Bird strikes a whopping 4 to 5k right there. Holy smokes.
Yeah, I think that was literally just an ace for Solitary Bird. Didn't even need to use the Shatter. Just use the amplification matrix from the side of Pugster. But it was just even though Godzilla missed it, they still have up a few. Who knows how they're gonna try to use these coming up.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Looks like we're going to be holding this kind of sturdy here. Oh, a nice wall, but it looks like, Shield tries to go for that slam. Doesn't get too much success from that. Fantastic barrier from Supreme Fudge. And the follow-up is there. Reinhardt down. Now Ultimate's out from the side of Fighting Potatoes. They will try and give this a fighting chance, and fighting chance there is. A fantastic Blizzard does get some value there at the choke point, but Bento picking up some value as well. 2 headshots on both the supports for Jersey Boy, or Fighting Potatoes is gonna be leaning Jersey Boys' ways for this fight.
Yeah, and it was very difficult. Basically every single person used their ultimate except for, no, I think actually everybody did. But it's one of those things where it's like, hey, everybody needs to press it, might as well. This is the first time Jersey was able to get onto the point. Now they got to try to hold it, especially since Fighting Potatoes already has over 70%.
Yeah, that's a kind of a daunting hill to climb, but when you've got point presence with this kind of mirror matchup, you're feeling kind of confident. It just comes down to these kind of choke points here. Now it looks like, yeah, these poor Baptiste, man, the economy is looking crazy, but Bento finds a nice pick on a Jeffrey right there. That's going to be a nice little trade you're going to want to have. You want to have that May rather than a Symmetra. Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah, Godzilla is just going to lay down the momentum right there.
Yeah, Godzilla made up for that first shatter with hitting that second one onto basically their Lucio and their BAP. It just seemed like that's the turning point there. They still have a lot of fights left. Obviously, only 50% basically gained for the side of Jersey Boys. But Fighting Potatoes is coming up. They do have the amplification metrics. They're close to another shatter, probably about 70%. Closer in the May, about 70%. They probably get those both this fight. Whereas on the side of Jersey Boys, they're at 90 for everything else.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough kind of matchup, but Pugster does have that window, and you know they've still got point control. Yeah, and Sneaky can find some pick on the bench, so that's your May down, Blizzard out. Looks like now the window is going to come out, try and rebound this just a little bit, but still Fighting Potatoes holding this such tightly. They really play around these choke points really well. They're slowly backing out, even though they have a pick. They know they've got somewhat of a control here, and they double down. Supreme Fudge out of the fight, and now the point is flipped to them. Jersey Boys backing away slowly. That was a pretty fancy rotation from Jersey Boys, but Fighting Potatoes again coming out kind of strong.
Yeah, and they didn't even use a single ultimate there. It was just the side of Jersey Boys that used it. They used the amplification matrix. They used the wall. Supreme Fudge switches over to the Sojourn, which I think is going to be sort of difficult, especially with there only being 90 seconds left as Solitary Bird gets a 3k shatter.
I love those slams trading back and forth. Not too much follow-up from either side technically. Well, Supreme Fudge eventually does knock down Solitary Bird, but you can just see both rounds just having a grand time. And it looks like the rest of the team is now going to have quite a grand time to fight for Fighting Potatoes. The only 4 members on the field. Supreme Fudge kind of doing this left kind of rotation. Looks like not too much follow-up is happening, but Fighting Potatoes still alive. Fantastic play around with a Lucio Baptiste. Fantastic support play right there. It's going to be a little bit of trade, but now Reinhardt coming in a little bit late in the fight just to see in time some picks coming in from Jersey Boys. Kanyo is knocked out with a nice little May diff, but Solitary Bird still spinning around the hammer, forcing out some abilities, but Supreme Fudge cleans up yet another kill. That's going to be Jeffrey out of the fight. You don't really have a lot of lasers now, but Jersey Boys, you know, still chilling. This is kind of crazy. Pugster kind of getting dove on by a little kitty on the Lucio, but in that meantime, Solitary Bird punts a nice little charge, but it is going to eventually be, yeah, the momentum was in Jersey Boys' favor that entire time, but I think the nice little factor right there was that swip onto the Sojourn.
Yeah, the Sojourn there was pretty big, especially since you're able to slide away from the May freeze and all the other beams that they have. But the big thing too for the side of Fighting Potatoes is they had to, Jersey Boys had to use basically every single one of their ults. They are coming up on the overclock and the May freeze. So it's gonna be try to play around that, whereas Fighting Potatoes only has the amplification matrix.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. A wall is out early, but also an Brutality is out early. Oh, but the DPS ult from Jersey Boys. That's dirty. That's done, did dirty. Bento picks up 2. And at that, oh man, goodness gracious. Supreme Fudge also gets 2. Pugs are falling out a little bit early. It's a little dramatic. But I think the choke points are the main name of the game right there.
Yeah, very much so, especially with having these Mays on both sides, just being able to wall off somebody like the side of Fighting Potatoes just barely being able to touch, I think with 98% left, and just having their Ryan basically be a sacrificial lamb coming out to the point. It's always going to be rough, especially at those late fights where you don't really know what's going to be happening.
Yeah, man, that Oasis, like I loved how each fight took place in a different place, and then it eventually just convolves onto the choke point, and then the walls coming out. It's hard to like play around him and stuff, especially when you've got like the combo with the Sojourn. It's so crispy because the Sojourn could just go off on an off angle, and then May's like bunching everyone up. But it looks like Fighting Potatoes going for a little bit of a different maneuver here.
Yeah, going for much more of a dive centric with the Diva, Cass, and Tracer. Probably just going to try to play around their. Just trying to control this high ground is basically their name of the game, it seems like.
Yeah, it looks like they're gonna try and fight for it. It's gonna be kind of difficult with Godzilla on the Reinhardt, and you're trying to frontline that as a diva. But you know, you never know how it could work out. In the end, looks like some booms being made. Looks like high ground is gonna eventually be had for Jersey Boys. Solitaire Bird just kind of thrown in some picks right there, some shots right there. But Bento finds a nice little shot onto Sneaky Kitten. That's to Lucio out of the fight. But it's Pugster now on the Kiriko. Maybe some sustainability, but Kitty follows it up on a Jeffrey. Now it looks like the kind of question in hand is kind of like, how is Godzilla going to come into a factor here?
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how they hold this, especially since they now obviously have the first point capture. It's gonna be a lot difficult for the side of Fighting Potatoes to be able to sort of touch the point and be able to fight them a lot. You do have this Tracer, which already died, I guess, to the side of Supreme Fudge, but it's gonna be a lot more difficult to be able to take that sort of damage in DPS fight because of the May ult, because of the May wall, and because of the Rhine Shatter. They're just able to lock down these certain points where you basically are like, yep, the Tracer or the Diva might come through, but nobody else is coming through.
Yeah, it's so hard for Fighting Potatoes to really find a clear kind of dive onto like any of the backlines or anything, because like you have to play kind of split because you've got Jeffrey on the Cassie. But it looks like they're going to try again on this front line kind of high ground claim. Looks like Kanyo does take out that Immortality Field. Now it looks like nobody from Fighting Potatoes is down yet. Oh well, Kanyo again kind of gets picked up and out by Supreme Fudge. It looks like Supreme Fudge really on the hunt for these kind of off-angle picks. Finds yet another one, a headshot at that on the Sneaky Kittens, and now the rest of the kills just coming in kind of cleanly here.
Yeah, and it's like, I feel bad saying this, but I feel like it's a great idea from the side of Fighting Potatoes, but just poor execution. They know what they want to do, they know what they want to try to do, but it's just like they're just going straight into it. I think with the Diva, they're just to sort of fly on, just sort of take a little bit of poke damage, and just sort of play like sort of footsie almost, where it's like you're just going back and forth, rather than just trying to take a hard engage, which is what Jersey Boys wants them to do.
Yeah, I think that's why we see the DPS rips onto here with Fighting Potatoes, the Bastion, Genji coming out. The ultimate comes out from the side of Supreme Fudge right there, but a fantastic beat to really rebound it, and a Diva Bomb at that, still kind of saving Pugsters a window for when the time is necessary. Looks like enough damage and enough ultimates was in the mix to really knock out Godzilla, the main kind of factor, the main kind of frontline menace. Supreme Fudge does trade it off with the pick on the Jeffrey, but I think the damage is kind of mainly going the way of Fighting Potatoes. As I say that, Bento picks up 2 at that, the supports of Fighting Potatoes. Oh man, 3 Solitaire Bird in a little bit of a stressful situation.
Yeah, the only people that touch with Kanyu, it's just gonna be difficult from the side of Fighting Potatoes. I don't think anybody else can touch. Oh no, never mind. Jeffrey's already dead.
Bento picked up 1 or 2 or 3 or a couple of kills that fight. Now the kind of stall coming out. Nice little just seeing what could possibly happen in these little moments. It's always fun to see. A nice little cinematic, just like, well, you give it everything you've got. Godzilla is also going to give it everything he's got. Pick up 2 right there, and now Bento picking up with a 3rd. I believe that is it.
Yeah, that was basically it, and everything went Jersey Boys' way at Garden. It just wasn't able to. Fighting Potatoes wasn't able to turn it. Like I said before, I think they had great idea, just poor execution. I think they're stronger on the Rhine. I think that's one thing that they might want to try to keep on playing, and with them having losers pick, they might try to go to it. But even then, Jersey Boys, of course, won first point on University, but they were shaking a little bit. They weren't just stomping the entire time and went to 99-99. So who knows what they're able to do with the next map.
Yeah, I think that was a classic case of first map shenanigans. It was Oasis too. We saw in that first round it was super back and forth, and Fighting Potatoes did get to 99%. You know, I think it came down to those last minute swips at the end, and then we saw a whole team comp swip position coming out into that next round. So I saw a lot of time like the front line was trying to be had by Solitaire Bird, you know, like the Diva going at it kind of head to head in a lot of scenarios, but it kind of died down later on, and they kind of focus on other members. I mean, one member per. How would you go about who would you
I
necessarily
would
even
say
dive
if it
in that
was me
scenario?
playing, I would try to go after the Baptiste because even though he does have the jump, he's just very, very vulnerable after he's in his jump. Of course, being a support main myself, I'm used to jumping all the time. And it's the one thing that's very bad about it is like when you're in the air, you have no control over what you're doing. And I think Bap's the #1 dive target in that sort of instance. You can get the Tracer on him, you can get the Tracer go behind him on the back stairs, have the D.Va go onto the top onto the little platform right there, and have just the rest of your team just run at them. That's sort of the way that I would imagine it. Maybe because you were playing a Kuriko to start off with, you could have the Kuriko sort of off angle on that little high platform right in the middle, right where the stairs are. You could go there, just throw your kunais, and just sort of surround them. That's sort of what you want to do on that sort of comp instead. And whereas Jersey Boys, they play a comp that's they want to take space and they want to hold it. That's what they want to do. They don't want to have you surround them. And if you're surrounding them, they're like, okay, where can we go? And if you don't really have anything that's diveable, then it's like, we don't know what we're doing. We just need to try to find somebody and stick it. And at the end of the day, they were able to do that because Fighting Potatoes sort of had the wrong idea on how to play that comp, in my opinion.
As you said, it seemed like a case of like right idea, the execution was a little bit off, but yeah, definitely saw like a lot of those times like the tempo for Jersey Boys was insane, and I think that again Supreme Approach on the Soldier helped out a lot with the off angles. Yeah, it couldn't really allow the Tracer Fighting Potatoes to really wrap around exactly where they wanted to, but I mean on all maps to test out the next composition, Paricio is definitely maybe one leaning more so in Fighting Potatoes' favor, where they actually this entire map is basically high grounds, right? Especially even on that first point, and we saw them try, I believe, try and opt for that on first map of Oasis.
Yeah, and it really is. It's very much so. Paricio is very high ground oriented. I like to call it the fishbowl sort of style because on first point the point is in a fishbowl. You've got high ground surrounding it, sort of like Numbani, where it's very defense/dive heavy. So I think that's going to be it. I think it's going to be very rough for the side of Fighting Potatoes if they do decide to run that D.Va. If they're able to fix what they were sort of mentally trying to do, like sort of try to fix the execution. And I think if Jersey Boys is stuck on the way that they were with the brawl, I think it could come out in a Fighting Potatoes win.
Absolutely. We'll have to see how it plays out. We saw them complete to a D.Va from a Reinhardt. I mean, that's kind of a complete 180. We didn't see Jersey Boys really change at all. So what kind of composition would you say is like the dream kind of composition for Jersey Boys here, or do you think they're just gonna stick with what they've been running?
Like I said before, we're in gold plat. I think I feel bad saying it, but it's like everybody just want to play what you're strong at. Of course, being myself, I'm an Ana player, so Ana's one of my favorites. I know with my team currently, we normally play ball. We used to play ball here. We play a lot of monkey Ana comps because that's what we're strong at. We're a college team, so it's like we've got ranks from all ranges, but it's like we're strong at that sort of dive comp. If you're strong at brawl on this map, you can still run it. It's not impossible. You still got those little high grounds. You still got that little area right next to pink where you're underneath. You can run that brawl there. You can just sort of run around. You can control the high grounds. So it's sort of what you want to play. I think, in my opinion, I really like the monkey / D.Va / even Doom is really good in this point, especially with trying to control that high ground. But again, it's really what you want to play. I think Jersey Boys will probably stick with that Rhine comp if it's my guess. And I think Fighting Potatoes, you can sort of see whatever. As we saw from first point, they did play the Rhine, they did play the D.Va. I think they might stay with the D.Va as we see Jesus in front of us just T-posing.
Yes, sir.
But I think we could see a lot of different comps coming out from both sides.
Yeah, or 5, 4, 3. One of them got Junker Queen.
No, we're not seeing Junker Queen.
That's bold, dude. All right, that's fine though. All right, it looks like Fighting Potatoes might be sticking with that D.Va, but it looks like Jersey Boys actually opting for a Reaper Sojourn. Yeah,
which is sort of not really interesting, but sort of a sort of hard meta for at least a lot of Overwatch. Overwatch 2's lifestyle was really the Sojourn Reaper in late OWL, but even then, it's still very strong. It's basically just Reaper go kill. Normally it's paired with a Kuriko, so that way you can get that. When they did have that movement buff, you were able to get that. But on the side of Fighting Potatoes, it's sort of a very weird comp, in my opinion. I think the D.Va goes well. The Widow could be there just for a first shot. But the Bastion there just seems a little bit weird, especially with it being run with basically zero cover and zero help. Zero peel for it at all.
I think what they're trying to go for with this Bastion, and then we'll see what the other damage is, but I think they're trying to go for that frontline pressure. We saw the Bastion come out kind of earlier on Oasis. Oh yeah, it looks like an Echo as well. Yeah, they're trying to get some three-dimensional frontline application here. Godzilla is a threat. They've noticed that. Godzilla just kind of throw himself in there. A fancy rotation coming out from Fighting Potatoes, trying to get around this choke point without necessarily picking up any picks, but it looks like a pick is going to be got from the side of Jersey Boys. Jeffrey out of the fight. It might be a little bit slower than the rest given the Bastion, you know. You only got one chance to turn into that machine gun form. Maybe it was caught out at the wrong time, but it looks like the aggression from Jersey Boys is they're definitely going to be hunting them down.
Yeah, and also going back to the Bastion too, like you said before, when they go into the turret form, it's only lasts a few seconds. I think it lasts like 8 seconds. During that time, with this comp, you can just sort of hide behind walls, and you don't really need to step into it.
Yeah. Oh, Kanyo gets caught out right there by the Reinhardt of all. It looks like I kind of love this from Fighting Potatoes. They kind of just try and go straight to point to try and get point control. I mean, I guess in a lot of, you know, on paper that does technically work, but if you don't get these picks, it seems during that kind of transition, looks like Jersey Boys are easily just eating this up. I mean, that's ult economy for days, and now Fighting Potatoes kind of in a little bit of a pickle, I may dare say, but they are coming up on about a couple ultimates, and dare I say a Kitsune, maybe their way to start this next fight.
Yeah, and I think Kitsune Rush is also one of the best ultimates in the game. I think it's still very strong, even with its little bit of nerfs that it's had. But if you look on the side of Jersey Boys, they've got 4 ults basically up already. I think they're just gonna ult spam it completely. And as I said, Greg just uses the shatter immediately.
Oh, there's that base Kitsune. That picture perfect 4K right there. They got on the point, they 180 Kitsune, they try and really claim that point control. I do love that idea. As Supreme Punch, you know, picks up a couple of kills right there. But I think in that right there, if they try that one more time, it may actually work. Because now Jersey Boys, they dumped 1, 2, 3, 4 ultimates for that reversal right there. And now Fighting Potatoes, they know they've got the ultimate economy. They switched their composition. They're pulling out an Ana at that, trying to get those anti-nades, those sleeps. Jersey Boys looking a little submissive, a little vulnerable right here.
Yeah, and it's very much so still like the same issue that I feel like they had during Gardens on Oasis, where they're trying to fight this fort, as we see Garage just going W keying into everybody there. Benito gets one, Godzilla gets another one, no. And it's just them just going into it. Like I said before, they need to take that. They need to just surround them, and they're not. I don't feel like they're really doing it. They're just sort of stuck in their ways of we just need to go to point. Just go to point. Just W to point. We're gonna win it no matter what. And it's like you've already wasted 3 minutes. Like, you got to switch some stuff up now. You know they're holding the high ground, and they're going to be dropping behind you. You need to surround them at some point.
I love this philosophical matchup. I think the only thing that is possibly missing is Solitary Bird on the Diva. It's hard to... maybe they lose one on the transition, but I think the Defense Matrix, it doesn't necessarily catch all 4 of your teammates in time, per se. And at that, Godzilla has a hammer, so I think that's what's getting a lot of value. As we've seen Bento get a lot of value in that 180, but it looks like now they're trying again. Looks like Jeffrey is going to get caught out. Supreme Punch now just on this high ground, showing they kind of expect this coming out from Fighting Potatoes now. Looks like they are going to be kind of caught out here alone yet again. It's kind of a tough pickle here. Now as Jersey Boys kind of just expecting this every time. They're gonna be kind of eating this up. I think the kind of Diva is the one in question here, as Kitty gets a nice little Lucio diff right there. But you got a couple seconds left, and at that you're coming up on a Nano Blade, maybe in the nick of time, considering Kitty does not have a beat.
Yeah, they don't have a beat, but they do have 10 seconds left, so it's all up on 2. Probably Solitary Bird to try to touch the point here if they're able to. 5 seconds? Are they able to touch? They are, luckily. But Yifri is already dead.
Yeah, that's going to be the common cost. Kanyo does trade it out. It's going to be a 5v4. Oh, the blade comes out. Oh, they were 2% off from a Nano as well. That was honestly, if we had Plato, Socrates, or Aristotle casting with us today, they would damn well applaud whatever that fantastic attack from Fighting Potatoes. I'll say it here first.
Yeah, no, it was rough though, because especially with Fudge, again, like as you saw before, we kept on cutting to Fudge, just sort of sitting on the high ground, not really getting any pressure out. And with the comp that Fighting Potatoes want to have, they want to have that pressure onto the back line, and it just seemed like there was nothing. They just sort of walked in. It was like, okay, we're here now. Now what? And then they just sort of got ran over by Godzilla sitting in the back line. Supreme Fudge taking a nice little off angle. Benito just holding M1 and Reaper, the M1 and W, if I can talk today, the Reaper special, as I should say. And just Pete and Kitty basically having zero pressure on them all the time, being able to keep everybody up. I wish we could see stats, because I don't want to see how many kills Fighting Potato has and how many deaths in total that Jersey Boys has.
Well,
So how many
this is where,
supports?
oh, sorry.
I was
This is-
gonna
this
say how many that their supports have. Sorry.
This is where my boy Plato comes in. So we saw maybe not a lot of success. We could totally see the elims, the deaths come out, but specifically the elims coming out from Jersey Boys. It was specifically Bento and Supreme Fudge getting a lot of value, and Godzilla, yes, did pick up some some late picks, but specifically again those damage characters, Jersey Boys kind of running quite the DPS lineup, and I think Fighting Potatoes, playing with the kind of Lucio trying to outspeed it per se. I think doing that kind of again that repetition, that's what the Bento and Supreme Fudge caught onto. Maybe not the rest of Jersey Boys, but specifically those people. So I mean, heading into this, hey, I'm not gonna try and jinx it, but I mean, I've full held Paricio once or twice.
Yeah, no, Paricio is definitely one of those maps, but it's like looking at Godzilla playing this Winston comp, having Supreme Fudge stay on the Widow. I think it's gonna be a lot more difficult for Fighting Potatoes to try to hold this rather than their attack.
Yeah, and with Ash Hanzo, you're playing for sightlines. Jersey Boys, they're going to be stretched out every time they dive, especially with Solitary Bird on the Sigma. There's going to be some smart stuff coming out from Fighting Potatoes, especially with the Mercy Ano support lineup. Let's say, yeah, Godzilla is going to be very vulnerable after that dive. Does get a nice little bubble out, but the rest of the players of Fighting Potatoes already lining up for this high ground. And, I mean, Godzilla does take out Yeffer right there, but look at this res. Can't even stop it. That's just a flex right there. But now, looks like... Oh man, the follow-up from Bento is absolutely there. Got a Mercy Pocket of their own, picks up 2 picks right there. At that, the tank and the support. Now Supreme Fudge gets down one with the Venom Mine, and Pete knocks one right into Pugster right there. That's going to be a clean attack from Jersey Boys.
Yeah, and like I said, Jersey Boys just being able to provide pressure. That's the biggest thing that I feel like is right now that Fighting Potatoes isn't doing, is they're not providing the amount of pressure that they need. Godzilla getting play of the game, like... he deserved, basically. They was just playing out of their mind completely, playing this Reinhardt, getting this nice little shutdown. Shatter just a flex, I guess. But again, like they were just sort of catching on to what Fighting Potatoes wanted to do. They wanted to go to the point. They wanted to just W key onto the point. And I don't think they had the right front line for it. I feel bad saying it, but it's like the Diva isn't really going to help you, especially against a big German Hammerman. Like it's not going to help. There's going to be some sort of thing where it's like, hey, we need to switch some stuff up. I get like what I said before, like you got to play to your strengths and play to your comfort zone. But I feel like right now they're like, hey, we know what we want to play. Just might as well just change the comp up a little bit to try to help what your philosophy is.
Damn. Well said. It's 2-0. We're heading into halftime. You know, we could very well get some philosophical debates during this halftime. We may see. I want to see a reverse sweep, but I mean, so far, I mean, not out of the pool just yet. As we head into halftime, I think both these teams are going to need a little bit of a break. Jersey Boys, don't get too banterous. It's not over just yet.
Yep, exactly.
Hello, welcome back to Tranquility. I put on a blanket, turned on some lights, trying to get some cozy, trying to summon, trying to manifest the fighting potatoes reverse sweep. I may dare say. How was your halftime, Karma?
I was pretty good. We talked about the Chicago Bean. It was fun. Chicago Bean is very interesting and not just a complete meme that all of Chicagoans hate.
I don't think it's real. I don't think it's real.
It is real. I've touched the bean. It's very dirty and very metal, and you can barely see a reflection.
That's what they say.
Yeah, no, it's fun. it's fun getting to see Jersey Boys hopefully not lose reverse sweep to the Fighting Potatoes, who are sitting at 2 and 5. Yeah, no, it's been a rough 2 games so far from the Fighting Potatoes, as we've discussed beforehand. It looks like it's gonna be rough.
It's looking like it looks like Jersey Boys are kind of holding a potato peeler right now to the back of Fighting Potatoes' heads right now. But you can't count them out. They've still got, dare I say, a fighting chance. Heading into the next map, I believe it's Escort. How does that kind of differ? So far, they've all been playing on a point. Even Paricio didn't even get to like a Pele kind of point, which I mean in my comp games, very accurate. It doesn't even matter the rank. That's just how Paricio goes. Do you think? Oh, let's go! It's Rialto. We've seen. I've seen. Okay, Rialto. We might be seeing some snipers. I don't know, but overall, this is a very clean. This is a very clean map. It's based off of this fictional place called Italy or something. And what kind of compositions would you kind of expect from either of these teams?
If Jersey Boys is on defense first, I'm gonna see brawl, and I'm gonna see them try to hold the bridge completely. That's my goal. That's what I feel like they're gonna say. I think that's probably what's gonna be happening. They've shown that they can run the Reinhardt 2 very well, and I think they're gonna try to hold them to before even first point. For side of Fighting Potatoes, I think they're probably gonna be trying to run the rush, maybe the sort of dive style that they've been sort of running with the Diva. But even then, it's been looking rough so far with the first 2 maps.
Yeah, we'll see how it kind of changes up here. Looks like we're gonna be kind of sticking with the same kind of people. Looks like we'll see how their kind of pep talks have gone so far. 5, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's see how it goes. Looks like we're gonna be getting kind of this. Oh my goodness gracious, Fighting Potatoes! I hope you do run the Ziva Guncha yet again. Looks like we're gonna get that Ana, and it looks like on Ana's end, so maybe more damage oriented. But it looks like Jersey Boys switching things up.
Yeah, going to the Winston comp, which is fairly interesting. I wouldn't say interesting. Sort of. I don't know what the right word is, but it's fairly. Oh, quirky. I can't remember what the word I'm thinking of is, but it's a lot interesting, I guess is the right word, even though I said not interesting. But they were running the Rhine comp before for the first 2 maps, now switching over to the Winston, which we saw at the end of Paricio on their attack. Running the Pharah, which is very good in my opinion, especially against these very high ceiling, low sort of rooftops that you can sort of hide behind. And then Fighting Potatoes, again, sticking with the Diva comp. Hopefully they made some changes with their philosophy, like I was saying before, to try to surround them and try to understand how to fully play this comp. But I feel like they have the idea but not the whole construct of how to run it, as Pugster's already done.
Yeah, Fury does trade it out with a nice little Zen Storm Arrow action on the bench. So Supreme Fudge knocking out with a headshot on a sneaky Kittens right there. Supreme Fudge running with that sniper might be a bit of an issue. As I say, Jeffrey knocks out that issue. Looks like it's going to be kind of an even fight here on this payload. Godzilla cut out in a bit of a quirky situation. Now the kind of push is on. Looks like Solitary Bird does press the boosters, but as I say that, Bento is coming back into the fight on that Pharah. Mercy has a Kiriko as well to lay in some frontline presence with Godzilla. Supreme Fudge from the back knocks out a nice little headshot on the Jeffrey with about 1, 2, or 3 assists. Now Kanyu on that Echo. Looks like Fighting Potatoes. They've got 3 minutes left. Let's see how they opt against. Now they know the full kind of sightline expanse that Jersey Boys has so far.
Yeah, and especially with the, like you said before, with the Echo, like getting that sort of sticky bomb as they die immediately. But getting that sticky bomb and then having Solitary Bird just trying to dive onto it, it's going to be a lot easy. It's going to be a lot more easy for the rest of Fighting Potatoes to try to cleap on, as Bento is just apparently just deciding, I'm just going to take everything for myself.
Yeah, I think we have to give big props to Kitty right there. They get knocked out. It looks like Solitary Bird identified a little bit of a problem. Kitty, not necessarily just sticking with Bento on the Pharah, and I think that's giving a lot of value to the rest of the frontline presence for Jersey Boys, especially giving alleviating a lot of stress that Supreme Fudge would have. Yeah, in that top right there is Supreme Fudge, knocked out by Solitary Birds. Fantastic little nuke right there. Now the cart progress is had as Jeffrey sweeps over to a nice little Sombra. The pucks are coming up on 70% to a Nano, but that's going to be about it, considering Jersey Boys are coming up on about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ultimates. Looks like Bento under a little bit of pressure now, begging for that mercy pocket like he's at the store Levi's looking for some jeans.